It's a bad sign when the garage is empty, but the driveway is full. That's because we're in a predicament. These are the two salvage cars that I'm currently rebuilding. On the right side is a 2009 Audi R8, and on the left side, a 2006 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. The Evo just got here. The R8, yeah, the R8's kind of been here for a while. So what? What are you, my wife? The secret to working and rebuilding salvage cars is that you have to have two of them at all times. You work on one of them until you run out of parts. Then you work on the other car while you wait on more parts to show up for the first one. So what do you do when you have parts ready to be installed for both cars? You do what any reasonable person does in a situation like this, and you flip a coin. I've never seen a school bus at the salvage yard. It's kind of eerie. Flip a coin, or you could always flip a washer. Instead of flipping heads or tails, we'll be flipping Evo or R8. Which would you rather work on? Oh wow, interesting. The number one mistake that new buyers make when they're buying their first crashed car isn't that they overpay for the car at the auction. Although that is incredibly easy to do because of the obnoxious fees that the auction has in place. It isn't that new buyers don't check to make sure that their car is being sold by an insurance company. Although buying a car from a private seller is a great way to get scammed. The number one mistake isn't the buyer's remorse that you feel every single time that you win a car at the auction, although that never goes away. But this mistake is simpler than that. It's the simple ones that get you in trouble. The number one mistake new buyers make when they buy their first salvage car? Underestimating just how much damage a car can have when it gets totaled. Cool. I don't want to tell you the most common mistake people make when putting their car up in the air, because I don't want to jinx it. If you stand this far away from the car, it looks finished. Looks great, actually. But most of what a salvage car is hiding can be seen or identified by looking at the dashboard. Just turn the key and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Rear fog light. What's a fog light? Please check tire pressures. The new to us wheels have brand new tires and the tire sensors were just installed. Service due. Airbag light. I don't see any airbags. And a suspension light. That's a tricky one. Yeah, the beeping stopped. So, where would you like to start? So the Audi R8 has what's called mag ride suspension. And in mag ride suspension, it kind of looks like this. There's only fluid inside of the suspension, whereas a typical coilover has the spring or the coil. The only real issue with the factory mag ride system is it's prone to leaking. Most people just upgrade to the aftermarket coilover, the one with the spring. But because it's not the factory suspension, it doesn't plug into your car. And then you get that silly suspension light on your dash. So that's why I bought this little Audi plug that mimics the plug on our car. Only it's not tied to anything. That's why you have to buy this little resistor. And the resistor matches the resistance that the car would expect to see if it were plugged into the factory suspension. Are you with me? We're trying to make the car think that we're plugged into the factory suspension. So you feed one end of the wire through your new resistor, twist it up with your greasy fingers, and then solder it in place permanently. So now what I have is this bobby dangler, which is essentially a resistor and a plug that matches the plug on the R8. Where we plug this device into is behind the wheels because that's where all the suspension components are. This is the coilover that replaced the mag ride, and there's a plug way up in top where our new resistor will go. I can actually see the connector better through the engine bay, and if I plug it in up here, I'll keep this out of the wheel well where there's lots of moisture. So this should help keep it protected. It actually tucks in nicely where the factory wiring harness already has these plastic clips.
What's up?
You getting up there, my boy?
Yeah, man, how you doing?
I'm all right, no complaints. How about you?
What's up?
Another day?
Another day. I guess that means no packages. That means I got a lot of work to do over there.
I see that.
How you doing?
I'm all right, no complaints. What you working on today?
I'm gonna finish the R8 today. Then I can get it out of the garage and fix the Evo.
I hear that.
All right, man.
Have a good one.
Have a nice day. See ya. He's the unsung hero of my YouTube channel, and he doesn't know it yet, but when the R8's finished, I'm letting him drive it. But that of course can't happen until the remainder of our resistors get installed. 2 resistors in the rear and 2 resistors up front, plugged in and tucked up out of the way with a zip tie. Now I don't know if that light is gonna clear itself or if I'll have to plug into the computer and clear the light myself. There is one easy way to find out. Let's start the car. Or maybe we can just turn the key. Let's see. No suspension light. All fixed. You could buy those pre-made suspension resistors for $500. Or you can make them homemade like I did for 20 bucks. Not kidding. 20 bucks. While the car's still up in the air, we can address the issue with the rear fog light. I don't actually know what a rear fog light is, but after some research, I realized it's supposed to be plugged in down here. It explains why we have this extra connector hanging from the bottom of the car. Take a close look, you'll see none of the cars in the driveway have rear fog lights. Actually, none of the cars in my entire neighborhood have rear fog lights. The reality is, none of the cars in this entire country have rear fog lights. And that's because it's only European cars that have to have rear fog lights. Which means the wiring harness that I bought for the rear bumper of this car, it's a European wiring harness. It would actually look really cool if I just installed a rear fog light on the car. While that would look really cool, the problem is European cars don't have these side marker lights, which means the wiring harness that I have mounted in this car won't plug into this light, and I'm missing this light, which is about 500 bucks. So I went back to the internet and found myself a US spec wiring harness. To swap out the rear bumper harness, we need to remove the rear bumper. It's held on by a dozen or so screws that I literally just installed a few weeks ago. That's why working on salvage cars is like real life deja vu. But this time around, I'll lay down a blanket to protect the fresh paint that I literally just sprayed on this bumper in the last video. I'd hate to scratch it. Nothing's actually holding this bumper on right now other than the tight fit that it has, because sometimes that's just what happens with salvage cars. Oh, the wires are stuck. Just turn this thing around, we'll actually get great access to the wiring harness. Oh boy. Don't scratch it. Don't scratch it. Oh gosh. So stupid. Why do I risk things like this? Now, hopefully I can just resell this harness to some poor soul who needs a European harness or needs the one with the rear fog light. It's a shame because the harness I'm taking out is brand new and the one I'm putting back in is used and came off a crashed car. Although it does go with the theme that I'm using parts from a dozen or more different cars to fix my car. And it'll make much more sense when you see what color I wrap the car. It'll all tie itself together. You know, you gotta laugh. The whole point of buying this was so that I could plug in my marker lights and not have to worry about the fog light. But if you look close, the plug for the marker light is ripped right off of our new harness. So back to my soldering iron. I'll connect some wire to my harness. So now we should have a North American friendly Audi R8 rear bumper wiring harness. Remember this box from the mailbox earlier? The hope here is that this is, yep, marker lights. Now we can swing this puppy back around. I did it again. And get her back installed. So when you have a light that's on your dash and you fix the problem that you think is causing that light to illuminate, sometimes the light just doesn't go away on its own after you've made the repair. You have to have a way to clear that light. This is called the OBD11 Pro, and it's a great product to have if you have a Volkswagen vehicle. You can plug it right into your Audi, your Lamborghini, your Bentley, or even your Volkswagen. Stink bug on the windshield. Ah, they're gross. Shouldn't hurt animals on camera. We should be able to plug this in and clear our suspension light, our tire pressure light, our airbag light, and that pesky rear fog light. All we have to do is log into the app on our phone, read your fault codes, and then clear all the codes. Sometimes when you clear a code, it can come back after you start driving the car. Now, codes like an airbag light or a light bulb that's out, they'll come right back on immediately when you turn the key. Where's the key? Here's the key. So we shouldn't have any lights. Passenger airbag off. That's normal. And no other lights. Well, that I can see. We really should drive the car to make sure there's no other lights. Or that they don't come back. Now, this car doesn't have a title yet. I definitely can't even register the car. But to avoid looking inconspicuous, or is it conspicuous, in front of the police, we'll stick on the plate that we're gonna use when the car does get registered later today. Scheduled this afternoon is an inspection appointment for this car to earn its rebuilt title. Without a rebuilt title, this car remains illegal to drive on the road. So we want to be 100% certain that we're going to pass the inspection. But in order to pass, there can't be any lights on the dash. Well, right off the hop, I can tell you our airbag light came back on pretty quickly, so that didn't take long. Everything else, on the other hand, is completely de-illuminated. Deluminated? Dilapidated? Everything else about this car runs and drives perfectly fine. But we already knew that. We're here to try and get this car ready for inspection. There's no point in driving this car around waiting for that light to go away. We might as well go back in and fix it. Assuming we know what fix, but at least we can celebrate the fact, oh, don't hit, that 3 out of 4 of our codes are cleared from the dash. Oh my God. What on earth? Check that out. Unfortunately, the paint is peeling off of our bumper that we literally painted a couple of weeks ago. The heat from the exhaust is completely melting our bumper. Wonder what that's about. Don't worry, I'll just repaint the whole thing. So if we take our OBD reader and plug it back in under here, and then you run the code that's coming up on the dash, it's 02511, which is a passenger seat sensor code, nothing to do with the driver's seat, the bag that exploded in the accident that this car was in. A few months ago, I bought the red seats that are currently in the R8, and I swapped out these brown seats because the seat had a bad airbag. My suspicion is I have to take the airbag module out of this seat and put it in the seat that we installed in our car, either because the car is not recognizing the module that's in there, or maybe the seat that I bought doesn't have an airbag module in it. Why does this disc look like the pads aren't even touching it? You see the lines on those rotors? It's a brand new rotor. This car's got problems, man. Under the passenger seat side of our brown seat that came in this car, you'll find the seat airbag module. And under the red seat that I bought from Lee Seat Parts, you can find the same module. The likely issue here is that the module has been programmed to this specific car. So I'll take the factory airbag module, disconnect the battery to prevent any explosions, and swap out the new to us module for the one that came in this car from the factory. And with the battery reconnected, we can test my theory. So the hope is if I swap out that old module for the one that came in this car, hopefully this fixes our problem. Now I did just disconnect the battery and reconnect it, so I've got a whole bunch of new dash lights that would, you'd think, go away if I drove the car around a mile, so I might have to do that, but let's check the airbag light. I still have one fault stored in here. Let's clear the fault. It was a success. Let's see if it comes back on. No. Cool, the airbag's fixed. That's all 4 lights. Fixed in one day. It's a relief. Like I said, salvage cars, you end up doing the same project more than once, over and over again sometimes. This is what, the 2nd or 3rd time I've had this seat out. Hopefully the last time. So now when we're test driving the car, we don't have to be distracted by those trouble codes on the dash, which everybody knows are so hard to not look at. Instead, we can just drive and think about our rear bumper melting away. The light bulb alert is gone because the car no longer thinks that it needs to be wearing a rear fog light. The tire pressure light's gone because the tire pressure sensors have been calibrated. The seat airbag and the airbag module has been replaced, removing the airbag light. And finally, the suspension light is gone because we fooled the car into thinking that it still has factory suspension. And at some point in the rebuild, don't forget to remove all of the tint from your windows. A coupe cannot have tint on the front windows or the windshield if you're applying for a rebuilt title. Now I think we can get our car inspected so we can drive it on the road. Oh, not so fast. I forgot to paint the door handles. So this door handle, notice it's gray. It needs to be the same color as the paint on the car. And the reason it's gray is because I forgot to paint it. So hopefully I can get it off and show you a little trick. Oh, no, did I break it? Not broken. So when this car gets inspected, the inspector is going to take pictures of every angle of the car and then submit the photos to the state so they can confirm it's been rebuilt and they'll give me a new title. The door handles have to match the car or else it's not going to look rebuilt. Well, I shouldn't say they have to match the car. They just can't be primered. Now, painting them the same color of the car is not going to be an issue because I have a gallon of this Audi R8 paint. But painting is going to take hours and we have minutes. Because the wheels are white, I think we could get away with white door handles. Painting them white is going to take just as long as painting them silver, so why don't we wrap them? The only color wrap I have in the garage is this bright white, which just so happens to match our white wheels. Although I've never wrapped anything automotive before, it seems like it would be hard to mess up such a small flat piece. It's as simple as peeling off the back, laying it down with a little thumb massage, and then trimming off the extra around the edges. The door handles snap right back on and instantly jive with our white wheels. The second time around, I got a bit more clever around the edges, although I didn't get any more clever in understanding how to remove or reinstall these little door handles. I always get nervous at this point in the rebuild because you don't know for sure if your car is going to pass the inspection or not until you just get over there and find out. An enhanced inspection isn't like a regular state car inspection. It's more intense. They want clear photos of the car.
They want receipts for all the parts. They want to know who did the work. And they want to know if you paid tax on that work. They want to know if you're hiding something. And they're going to take a hard look to find it. But if you're proud of your work, you've got nothing to hide.
Well, we made it to the inspection station. That's actually the shop that inspected my Lamborghini. Normally I'd want to videotape this whole thing front to back, but to be honest with you, I don't want them to feel any pressure. I just want them to inspect the car and let me go on my way. They're getting on with it right now. Right now, what he's doing is lining the car up for a series of photos so they can then submit those to the Department of Transportation. They'll then take the car inside for about an hour behind closed doors to look at the rest of the car through a fine-toothed comb. Once they're finished and give me the car back, I try not to blow my cover in telling them that I don't really know how to work on cars professionally, at least until I'm in the car with the door closed. Well guys, here's the proof that we passed. I have to take these photos and this document to an automotive auto tag notary. Now, although I passed my inspection, I didn't actually get my title yet. I have to go to the notary and get my title applied for. I also have to pay all the taxes and fees associated with my purchase and all of the repairs. So wish me luck. I'm guessing maybe 1,800 bucks. This is the auto tag notary that I've used for every single one of my crashed cars. But just like at the inspection station, it's 30 to 60 minutes of anxious wonder. So I have to put this in there?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is this PIN number?
All paid?
Yeah.
Cool, thank you. Well, it wasn't 1,800 bucks, it was 1,700 bucks, plus a little bit of tax and fees to use my credit card. It was 1,900 bucks. 1,900 bucks, well worth it though, because that's the last fee we'll have to spend on our Audi R8. You wanna laugh? Remember I wrapped my door handles white? Well, I locked the car and the fob isn't working correctly. So the only way to unlock the car now is to stick the key in that little hole. Notice I didn't cut out that hole when I wrapped the door handle. So here goes nothing. Oh wait, I got a better idea. And now we can legally enjoy our car. Or we can at least enjoy it until we get home. Because at home is where we're reminded that no project is ever finished. And now this Audi R8 is ready for an alignment and a drastic color change. Although the car's now in the garage and ready for its wrap job, I'm thinking we'll step away from the R8 just for a second so we can rebuild an Evo.